Welcome to Perfect-ish, where it's not about having perfect time management, but about perfecting your relationship with time. I'm your host, Callie Brigham, and every week we'll talk all things time and how to maximize it without burnout or guilt. Whether we're chatting with an expert or I'm sharing my 20 years of time management experience, you'll learn simple strategies to make every moment count. Here, it's all about getting close to perfect-ish. So let's synchronize our watches and dive in. Hi, friend. I am recording this podcast episode around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is very rare for me. Usually I record my episodes earlier in the day, but I thought that actually this one was going to be totally appropriate to be recording right now. I will tell you why in just a minute. So hang with me. First, I want to tell you a little bit of a story that's going to expose something about myself. And I mean, why not, right? And it does have to relate just slightly to the previous episode that got such great acclaim. That was my husband Josh's birthday episode where we sat down, and I will say that we probably rehearsed, or not rehearsed isn't the right word, prepared. That's the right word. We probably prepared less for his episode than I have for any episode that I've ever done. It was almost not even going to make it to air. It was one of those things where we just honestly did not have a lot of time together where we could sit down and have a conversation. I did not prepare him with any questions whatsoever or any content. But I mean, if you've been married as long as we have and you've been together as long as we have, surely you can sit down and talk for 30 or 45 minutes, right? But I told him, listen, this is our one tiny window of time. Let's sit down and do it. And nobody knows that your episode is going to air. So if we crash and burn, no worries. I'll just put something else in its place. And it ended up, I think, being one of the fan favorites, maybe one of the all-time favorites so far. And of course, we covered a lot of ground. There was so much more we could have. So maybe I'll have him back again. But one of the things that I felt like was an underlying theme of our conversation was that we strive to be on the same team. And it's not always easy, and different seasons have definitely made that look a little different for us. But that is the underlying foundation of who we are as a couple. And we do have distinct roles in our family in many ways. But at the same time, at the end of the day, Team Brigham. We want to be on the same team. Otherwise, it's not pretty. Well, one of the things that we did when we were parents of small children that allowed us to be on the same team was that we would alternate on the weekends who had to get up with the early birds in our house, which if you have a baby and a toddler, it's both of them. Later on, when you get teenagers, it changes some. But we would alternate that so that one of us didn't have to be up before dark taking care of babies. Now, just so you know, both Josh and I, prior to this, would have been self-ascribed night owls. And it worked really well for us before we had kids. We both worked from home and we could stay up as late as we wanted to. Josh is a creative. So sometimes, the creative juices would be flowing at night. No big deal. Stay up. And it's not like we slept the day away, but as long as I was kind of ready to go and in my office, so to speak, by 9 o'clock in the morning, it was fine. Well, then everything flips totally upside down when you have babies. You have no idea what sleep is anymore, anyways, but definitely early mornings become part of your routine. Fast forward now, I can't sleep in even if I wanted to, which, that's so frustrating, but it is what it is. And I have come to really love and appreciate an early morning. I don't know that I would ever label myself in the future as a morning person, but I do love the mornings and I love my morning routine. And it is what it is. Okay, but let's go back to when we would alternate. Now, here's where I'm going to spill the beans a little bit. A true confession. Don't tell him that I said this, but I would make sure, if at all possible, that when 2 times a year, when daylight saving was coming, that I put myself on the calendar that I would get up early on that Sunday of fall back daylight saving because you get an extra hour. Now, the babies didn't necessarily get an extra hour. I mean, and that's kind of a fallacy when it comes to having kids, but at least it would work a little bit in my favor. And then I would make sure that he was on the calendar for the spring one where it's less sleep. I know. I know. Listen, it's called survival, okay? It's called survival. But I would not look forward, really, honestly, to either one of those, even if I was the one that had to get up or didn't get up. I would not look forward to those whatsoever because I knew it was going to wreck us as a family for at least a week, if not more. I also knew that in the fall, even though who doesn't love a little bit of extra sleep, I knew that darkness was coming. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Not really, not at all. So that finally circles back. I'm like a preacher who's giving the intro to his message. That finally circles back to I decided to record this message in real time about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Time. We're a couple weeks away from daylight saving hitting us the very beginning of November. But I thought, in a few weeks, the sunshine that's coming through my curtains here and the beautiful daylight that's coming through will be gone. It will be no more. And it happens every single year without fail. Yet why am I surprised every single year and I'm not prepared and I'm not ready? So we're going to combat that today and we're going to prepare a few weeks ahead of time for this change in the season. Because on this show we like to talk about how we don't fight it, we flow with it. Now, why is that one little hour feel like such a big deal? Well, just the science of it is that our bodies run on something called circadian rhythms. And our natural sleep and wake cycle that is affected by the sun. And so we just want to be aware, ultra aware of that what is happening is biological. It's going to feel mental, it's going to feel emotional, but it's biological. The sun is clocking out early, and by the time you're heading home from work, or definitely by the time you finish dinner, it's going to feel like midnight. This shift always messes with my mojo. I like to say that I'm solar powered, and the mornings might be still bright, although that changes too. But again, that 4 o'clock hour where darkness is hitting, I mean, I just feel like my body is saying, like, pajamas, couch, and maybe in a good way, like little soup, a little chili. But today we're going to talk about how to fall back gracefully, how to protect our energy, how to keep our rhythm strong, how to let these early sunsets not steal our spark. Because technically, that extra hour of sleep also brings a new set of challenges, and we're going to be ready. We are going to be armed and ready. I'm giving you a couple weeks runway to prepare for this. Are you ready? Okay. So, as we mentioned earlier, the circadian rhythm is really what's happening here. And our bodies are wired to follow light exposure. The light exposure, it regulates our mood, our focus, and even our hormones. So, when we lose those lovely extended evening hours, it's easy to start to feel more sluggish, snacky, and even a little blue or a lot blue. So, it's not us being dramatic. I mean, sometimes we're dramatic, but it is the science. The less daylight will lower our serotonin levels, that's our happy hormone, and they disrupt our sleep quality because our body doesn't get the same light cues to stay awake and alert. So if you've noticed that every early November you start craving carbs and naps, you're not crazy. You're just human. And by the way, here in the great state of Florida, we have passed a law called the Sunshine Law, where we're supposed to be doing away with this. I don't know what's taking so long, but in the meantime, and we all know that this really started especially for farmers and the crops and the rotation, et cetera. But regardless, since we can't fight it, we're going to flow with it. We're going to manage and talk about managing our energy and our rhythm when the lights are dimming. All right, so let's talk about what to do as we prep for this new rhythm. Again, we've got a couple weeks here. So just take note of some of the things that you might want now, some of the things you might want later. The first most important thing, and really this is all year round, is to maximize the morning light. So as soon as you wake up, as long as it's light outside, if it's not, then you might want to actually have a light lamp. One of our very first episodes ever was with my friend Caitlin, who lives in Alaska, and they have one of those lamps in the morning because their winters, I mean, we should not complain, right? So you might even want that lamp that you turn on But if the sun is up or rising, going outside, opening your blinds. You can even eat breakfast or have your shake or have your water near a window. That morning light is going to help reset your internal clock and it's going to boost your mood naturally. One of the things also that I've been learning about is getting morning light on your actual eyeballs. So in the morning when I go for my walk, I do wear my sunglasses when I record my little morning stories just because, I'm not sure how those wide awake those eyes are looking. But then I make sure that I have a decent amount of time with light exposure on my actual eyeballs. Maximizing that morning light is so important. Alternately, keeping your evenings bright until it's bedtime. What this could look like is turning on your lamps earlier, using warm light bulbs, resisting the urge to live by candlelight all day, as tempting as it sounds. I do like that, but we need the light cues so that you know it's not bedtime at 6 o'clock. So you might just want to be thinking about, okay, what parts of my house do I need to keep lighter later? Number three, and this is again, all these things, they're really important all year round, but especially as we're preparing for the fall. Move your body daily, especially before noon. The physical activity that you do will help fight off the sluggishness that comes with the shorter days. Even a little 10-minute walk can flip your mental switch. So making sure that when you're wanting to hibernate, that it's really important, especially earlier in the day, that you get that body moving. Number four, guarding your bedtime. Because of the shift, you might find yourself waking earlier than usual, which is great, but you don't want to compensate by staying up later. You want to protect that bedtime because our sanity depends on it. I am becoming such a preacher, evangelist, stand on my soapbox about sleep. I mean, do not mess with my sleep because it's not as great as it used to be anyways, and that has become kind of just a religion for me. So just know that you're going to be tempted to want to stay up later, but that is not what is going to help sustain this through the winter days. And then number 5, plan for this. You don't want to plan for chaos. This is not this week coming up. Pay attention now. You have enough time now. Pay attention to the week of daylight saving, that first week of November. It's not the week to overhaul everything. It's not the week to start a new workout routine. It's not the week to have, as busy as possible in your professional life. It may not even be the week to start a new meal plan. Lean into the cozy things. Lean into the routines that really feel comfortable. Maybe you do have some crock pot meals that you're starting to prep. Ask your friends, what does that look like? Maybe this is a little bit of a slower evening, but keeping the structure there, you don't want too much flexibility. So kind of have a little bit of awareness now. Not too much chaos and crazy and not too much comfort either, but look at that first week of November and plan accordingly. Isn't this cool that for some of us, this is going to be the first time we're not caught off guards when it comes? I think just as important though, as these activities. Okay, morning light, evening's bright. This sounds like the start of a Christmas carol. Moving your body, guarding your bedtime, planning it out. What I love even more than that is that this can be a mindset shift, almost like a new year can be, almost like a new week can be, a new month can be. We've got different times of the year. We've got fall, we've got spring. Well, this is too. And I want you to start to think about what a darker evening could invite you to. I remember reading a book years ago. It's a tiny, tiny book. It's not very famous, but wow, it rocked my world. It's called The Deborah Anointing and talks about Deborah and the Bible. And in the book, she references that there are different physical seasons, just like there are different spiritual seasons. We've talked about this before on the show. And we don't want to overlook what they're meant to do. Each season distinctly has its role. And in the physical world, a lot of this has to do with growth. And we think about, again, back to planting, or we think about animals, or we think about what geographically, what our earth needs. Well, fall and winter naturally are designed to slow us down. The world outside gets quieter physically. Now, I know it gets busier when it comes to school programs and Christmas and travel and all of that, but maybe this is a reminder of a season shift. So, what if the season, I'm not saying that it's about doing less, but doing it differently. What could you start to use your long evenings for? Maybe these are a way to have some extra reflection or connection or creativity. If we start now thinking about what are my nights going to look like, maybe we'll avoid for the first time in a while scrolling till bedtime. Maybe it will be reading an extra chapter or planning your week intentionally or having time for maybe something that you love to do, whether it's listening to music or painting or a hobby. Maybe you intentionally plan 1 or 2 nights that you're going to be social because there's going to be a tendency to withdraw, and maybe you know as an extrovert you're going to need to have that. So maybe you figure out, what is that going to look like? Do I go home first after work, or will my couch just suck me in and I'm never going to get out? During this season, if I'm going to do something with friends, do I do it right after work? Do I do it right when the sun is setting so that I'm still driving during the daylight to get there and then I'm enjoying the social and then I'm going home? Thinking about that now. So if you've been running full throttle, this could be a cue. The season could be a cue for restoration, for rest, for a reset, for taking a breath. It's really up to you. But isn't that pretty spectacular that we get to embrace what this is? We've been changing the narrative from time management to time stewardship. Maybe we'll change the intro or outro that talks about time management. It's fine. But as we do that, and we really start to think about the time stewardship, what is important here is that this shift to the darker days can make us feel like our productivity window shrank, but we don't have to buy into that. It's not about the amount of hours that we have, it never is, but it's about how we use them. So, again, as we're getting ready to walk into this and navigate it, ask yourself a few questions. When do I have the most energy during these shorter days? This might mean that I'm going to shift a few things. Things that I used to do later in the day, I might want to move those earlier. Maybe I'm going to do more of my quiet time at night because I feel like I've got a little bit of extra time. I could maybe be a little bit more efficient and go after it first thing in the morning instead. So maybe I flip those around a little bit. You could ask yourself, what tasks deserve that prime time? And that prime time isn't just about your high energy time. Your prime time is about your low energy time. What could I move into that maybe really allows that stillness to have value? And on that note, the third question could be, what could I move to the quieter evening hours? Isn't that, I think this is just a great way to not dread, because I tend to dread it. I tend to dread it. And I don't want to do that. I want to love the different seasons for what they bring to my family, to me individually, to my profession, etc. So those questions again, when do I have the most energy during these shorter days? What tasks deserve that prime time? And what can move to the quieter evening hours? Again, you might find that this is the perfect time to realign that schedule with your natural energy. The natural energy of the summer is different than the natural energy of the winter. Maybe it's an early morning focus work. Great. Maybe it's a cozy evening planning or creative work. Perfect. Let's adjust those routines with the seasons. So here we are. We're ready. We have a couple more weeks to prep. It is going to be darker soon. We'll all be a little out of sorts at the beginning, but we're not powerless about it. We get to decide how we show up in this new rhythm. We get to bring our, you know what? Let's bring our own light, literally and figuratively. So maybe you do stock up on some candles right now. Maybe you do stock up on some favorite teas or hot chocolates. Set this fresh routine. And remember, we can't control any of this. We can't control the sun and we can't control when our government is going to say finally to do away with this, but we can steward our time and our energy beautifully. So if you catch yourself saying, ugh, it's already dark, let's swap it for, oh, it's time to fill in the blank, rest. It's time to renew. It's time to snuggle. It's time to whatever the case may be. So we're not falling back. We're not falling at all. We're just settling in to the new season. Okay, friends. So here we go. Some of you with littles out there might also be saying, okay, now I need to figure out what days I'm going to be getting up and what days my partner is going to be getting up. But at the end of the day, we can say, hello, the darkness of this season, my old friend. You are welcome here. All right. God bless. We'll be prepared and ready to go. Thanks for tuning in to the Perfect-ish Time Management Podcast. Let's keep the fun going. Follow me on social and join our Facebook community. And if you're ready for some one-on-one time management coaching to reach the top of your game without burnout or guilt, I'd love to chat. Book a free interest call using the link in the show notes or send me a DM. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a 5-star review and share it with a friend who's ready to master their time too. Remember, we're in this together, making real progress towards becoming perfect-ish.